Okay, here's the story. 39 years ago, on August 13th, 1970, I was a fun-loving young woman. Let's start again. Let's get started. Here's the story. 39 years ago, on August 13th, 1970, I was a fun-loving young single woman traveling in Europe with a girlfriend. Not that uncommon. It was my second trip in Europe. In the years between the trips, I had moved up from Europe on $1 a day, which is now much more. But I happily spent my time there on Europe for $1 a day, and then moved up to Europe on $5 a day. Not because we wanted to spend more, but because that's just how it was. Pretty astounding when you think about what it costs to go to Europe now, huh? Honestly, I had a fabulous trip both times. I saw wonderful things, I laughed a lot, and I drank a lot, and I met lots of wonderful people. But August 13th was the day that would change my life. It was the anniversary of the day, and I was just blogging about it, in 1970 that I met my husband, Gaston. It was a Friday, I think. Friday the 13th. I wasn't looking for a husband. I wasn't looking for a life partner. I wasn't even looking for a good time. Yeah, maybe I was looking for a good time. My girlfriend and I had just gotten back to Italy and traveled up the Italian coast from Greece. We'd partied a lot in Greece and gotten sick on one too many calamaris or perhaps one too many ouzos, and we ended up with the Italian version of La Turista. We checked into the hostel in Giudecca, which is part of Venice, and we probably wouldn't have left during the day if we didn't have to, but hostels didn't allow you to stay in the hostel during the day. We'd also had our fill of Italian men. They were a little too touchy-feely for us. But Venice was calling, and who can resist Venice? We went, and we went, of course, to the tourist places. We went to the island of Murano, a beautiful island, and hard to paint. Well, they specialize in glass there, and that's where I met and first laid my eyes on my husband Gaston. He was gorgeous. He was the ultimate salesman, however, and before I knew it, I was the proud owner of a whole bunch of wine glasses that I had no business in buying, and my whole $5 a day trip was shot. But I met him. When I met him, he was blowing a horse out of molten glass. He was shaping it with tongs, and it was pretty neat. And before I knew it, I owned the glass and I had a date in St. Mark's Square. We went back to the hostel, my friend Ann and I, and we debated whether we were going to actually go to St. Mark's Square to meet Gaston, or whether he would be there, or whether we actually wanted to meet any more Italian guys. But whatever, we decided to go because the American Navy ship was in town, and we thought maybe we might meet Navy Americans. Ann was ready for that. But when we got there, there was Gastoni sitting in the square, the orchestra was playing in the background, And best of all for Anne, he had an equally gorgeous friend with him, and Anne was smitten. Gastone spoke English. He'd actually learned it in Australia, where he lived for 10 years, but of course he told me at that point that he learned it because he'd studied in England. And of course, even then I was believing everything he said. What followed was lots of laughter, chatter, great food, a great deal of wine, and I was totally enamored. Lost. Actually, I lost my dinner. Apparently I hadn't quite gotten over the stomach flu or problems that I had in Greece, and my lunch, all that good food and wine, didn't do me any good. You gotta say, not every girl in town can say that they threw up on their future husband. Both my girlfriend and I decided to stay. We had originally planned to go on to Germany where she had relatives, but we didn't. We stayed in Venice the rest of the time until we had to go back. And we had a terrific Venetian holiday. It was very romantic. My girlfriend and I walked through the city. We had great meals. We had great fun. And we had to go back because we were both teachers. But my romance continued. Gastone and I wrote letters. There was no internet or Vonage or Skype at that point. We wrote letters, like snail mail letters. They took forever to get from one place to the other. Then Gastone came over in November, and he met my family, and we decided to get married. And surprisingly, since I'm an only child, my parents, although I'm sure they were very worried, they didn't object. Gastone flew home in late February, and then when school was over, I went back to Venice. We were married on August 15th, 1971. The church where we were married, which was called Santa Maria dei Miracoli, was built before Columbus discovered America. It was made from leftover marbles from St. Mark's Cathedral, and it's the same church where Gastone, that's his Italian name, that's where his parents were married. My parents and many of our friends were able to come to my Venetian wedding, ride in the gondolas, see the beautiful city. I have so many stories to tell about trying to get a Catholic priest to come back to the city when he was on vacation, because August 15th is a big Italian holiday. But that and the exchange rate, there were so many things, but leave it to say that it was a wonderful wedding, and it's been a beautiful marriage. My husband is a kind and gentle, intelligent man. He's been a great father, a great provider. He's a wonderful cook. He's extremely talented in anything he tries to do. My name is now Fortunati. It's an Italian word that means lucky, and I am.